imports into the United States in terms of oil and gas. 4% of our oil supply comes from Russia. We can easily make that up. So what we haven't done yet is go after the oil and gas sector in Russia. That's the Achilles heel to Putin's war machine.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Birch Gold Studios with the Right Forge Mike and the Benny Show. Whew. Did you see that clip of Steve Cohen from Tennessee? He's a Democrat. He was sitting there talking on CNN about pumping gas. He was going, you know, you just need to put the gozzle in the nozzle and the nasal in the thingamaboob. And then you need to just make sure the gas goes into the tankaroo. And you'll get your gas. $10 a gallon. How much is that in Bitcoin? I don't know. You can afford it. When you put the gas in the nozzle, maboo, you heart Putin poot. When was the last time these people pumped gas? Honest question. When was the last time they filled up their own tank? Real question. When was the last time you saw Nancy Pelosi at a ExxonMobil station? When was the last time that Chuck Schumer went to a Shell station? When was the last time Mitch McConnell filled up that big black SUV with tinted windows that drives him around? Where's the last photo of Joe Biden inside of a gas station pumping his own gas? None of these people who are making these policies right now that hurt your families have touched a gas nozzle in the last 4 decades. None of them. Dirty little secret. Least important people have drivers. They have their staff drive them around. Go ahead and check on what the Capitol looks like after votes. When votes are done, every member of Congress, even the dumbest, most unimportant ones, truly like unimpressive and unimportant and forgettable, pointless members of Congress, go trotting out to their vehicles that are waited, sitting there with staffers ready to drive them. I'm talking about people from like the middle of Kansas. I'm not talking about the leadership. The leadership, well, they have entire motorcades ready to zip them around all over the city. When was the last time that Nancy Pelosi smelled the cigarette butts and the fumes of unleaded fuel as it pumped into her car? She hasn't smelled that in forever. Most importantly, when was the last time that they paid for gas themselves? I want to see it. When was the last time that Mitch McConnell or Chuck Schumer or Joe Biden reached into his back pocket, pulled out money from his bank account, and slapped it on the greasy counter of a Citgo? When was that? I want to see the time that Nancy Pelosi took dollars out of her pocket and gave it to the Cheeto-stained fingers of a gas station attendant in San Francisco. I want to see it. They've never done that. You know who pays for their gas bills? You. On Capitol Hill, you'll find some of the highest gas prices in the country. Why? Because they know it's a government credit card being swiped. They can charge whatever the hell they want. There's a gas station on Capitol Hill that is like right next to the Senate. It's across the street from the Heritage Foundation, across the street from the Senate parking lot. There's big old parking lot there. That price, ask anyone who's ever lived or worked in D.C., that price of gas there is like $2 more than anywhere else in the city, because they know that the only thing being swiped there are government credit cards. These people don't pay for their own gas. These people don't fill up their own tanks, so they don't give a damn about you paying for gas. I gave a speech yesterday in a town called St. Petersburg, and I went live from the gas station after filling up my tank. My wife was running errands yesterday with our daughter, and we both filled up the tanks of our cars respectively. My family yesterday in gasoline spent $150 in gasoline for our cars. How much would we normally spend? Half that. What were we spending a year or two ago? Half that. They're not huge cars. We don't drive what you would call a gas guzzler, right? I don't have a diesel pickup. I don't have an F-350. I do not have a Suburban or a Cadillac. We drive pretty modest cars, used cars in my family. They don't care about you. If there's one thing that the last 2 years has shown to you, probably a middle-class, affable American watching this, is that they don't care. They want to lock you down. The pain of their policies is intended to hurt you, whether it be COVID, whether it be gas prices, grocery store prices. There's a class of people who get a lot paid for in their lives by the government. They don't care. They can raise the prices on those government credit cards anytime they want, right? And that's what happens. You saw a lot of that in Washington, D.C. Then there's the upper class, the Stephen Colberts, who make fun of you. Stephen Colbert saying yesterday on his show that he would pay $15 a gallon because he has a Tesla. Jackass. They are indifferent to your suffering because they hate you. They don't want you to have power. They don't want you to have agency. They don't want you to have mobility. It's a very, very scary proposition when you realize that both parties are in on it. You are the thing that scares them the very most. It's why these gas prices matter. They want you to absorb the cost of their incompetence and stupidity. The point is that it is intended to hurt you, and they don't care that it does. They want you to be poorer. They want your dollar to be worth less. You're a threat to them. This is how it all works. It's very evil, but it's also something that you need to recognize. That the American middle class is actually the most powerful political force in the world. The American middle class is the richest, most prominent, most mobile class of people in world history. No one has ever had it better than you. And no one has more resources at their disposal. No one has more political power. No class or group of people, and the American middle class is made up of hundreds of millions of people, has ever had such a capacity to turn their country the direction they want it to. So that's, quite frankly, why we do this show every day. We want you to know that you're the majority, and we want you to know that you can change your country if you decide to. You can stare at the problem that is in front of you and say, I can change that. It's a conversation I have with my 1-year-old all the time. If you don't like it, you can change it. If you don't like it, you can change it. And you know what? My 1-year-old gets it. And I hope you do too. If you don't like being picked on and being subject of vaccine mandates, $10 gasoline, it's coming. You see wheat prices? You haven't even started the bread wars yet. You see wheat prices through the roof. Prices of nickel, prices of cobalt. You see the commodity prices through the roof. You know that's going to hit you in the grocery store. Just wait. The summer months, grocery prices in this country are going to double. Count on it. Count on it. And you know who's going to be laughing? The people with 6-figure government salaries who can write it off on their government credit cards. The people with drivers in Washington, D.C. who chuckle at these prices of gasoline because they're heavily leveraged and invested in solar panel development inside of China through slave labor in Xinjiang. They're heavily invested in windmills that are mass murderers of bald eagles that get plopped all over and create zero electricity, freeze, and then collapse. They're making money off it. They're having a grand old time, Monopoly Man style. Monocle, top hat, they love your suffering. That's why they laugh. That's why you see the incompetence of the Biden Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm. This person has been just a failure her entire political career in the Democratic Party. You fail upward. She is now the Secretary of Energy. She has giggled and laughed often at the pain that people feel for her policies. And then when asked right now about importing oil from Iran, a place that hates America, a place that would point a nuclear weapon at this country if they could afford one, and once we get the Iran deal signed, which the Biden administration is putting the pedal to the metal to try and get there this week, boy, you can count on them having a nuclear weapon. As we've seen, high gas prices mean the most evil people and regimes in the world be enriched. And Jennifer Granholm says, that's awesome. Watch.
But is it your expectation that the Iranian barrels do come back online if there is a deal here on the nuclear agreement soon?
That's certainly something that is a possibility, but of course you have to get to the deal first, and the deal, the reason for the deal is a denuclearized Iran. That's the reason for the deal. If there is a byproduct of increased supply, so be it, but the deal is all about making sure the world is safer because Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon.
This is what it looks like to be dependent on energy. America could be energy independent. America created fracking. America has created and developed the thing that America does best. It innovates. The best part about our society is the fact that we create objects like the iPhone. We create innovation. We are the ones who drive the world forward. That's why flight was created here. That's why we landed on the moon. And so America has created the capacity to be energy independent. But imbeciles like Joe Biden have blocked new fracking. They have blocked new development of oil. They have made us dependent on the worst people on planet Earth. There's a man who once warned us of not being too dependent. In fact, he stood up at the United Nations and he said, if you take too much Russian oil, then Russia will own you. He was speaking directly to Germany at the time. They laughed in his face. They didn't like his skin color or the way that he spoke, and so they sent him away. That man's name was Donald Trump. Who's laughing now? Check out this clip.
Can leave a nation vulnerable to extortion and intimidation. That is why we congratulate European states such as Poland for leading the construction of a Baltic pipeline so that nations are not dependent on Russia to meet their energy needs. Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course. Here in the Western Hemisphere, we are committed to maintaining our independence from the encroachment of expansionist foreign powers.
They laughed at him. You can see it there. They laughed. Who's laughing now? The Germans at the United Nations, chuckling in Joe Biden's face, now as they desperately scramble to get themselves off Putin's oil. We could get off Putin's oil. American energy and oil developers say approve our permits. This according to Zero Hedge. Reading to you today, U.S. oil industries respond after Biden cuts imports from Russia. Approve our permits. The Biden administration is lying to you. They're saying that none of our policies are leading to the extended and an exponential explosion of prices at the pump. They're liars. They're lying liars who lied. These are also the same people that told you there would be no COVID-19 vaccination mandates. So why would you believe them? These people openly and aggressively lie to make your life worse. They always do. Joe Biden announced that he would ban Russian oil yesterday as gas prices hit $5 in Chicago's South Side. Gas prices are now, of course, at historic, dire pricing around the country. Just blew past the last record in 2018, the record high in 2008. Actually, correction there. While there was an economic collapse, 2 wars going on, a housing market implosion, that's what led to $4 gas at that time. All that led to $4 gasoline average this time is 1 year of Joe Biden. Patrick DeHaan, Gas Buddy's head of petroleum analysis, said it's a dire situation that won't improve anytime soon. Gas Buddy now expects the yearly national average to rise to its highest level ever recorded. Brent crude is $139 a barrel as of March 7th. Some believe that oil will be trading at $200 a barrel. Are you ready for $10 gasoline? That's what that means. Are you ready for $10 gasoline at the pump? Are you ready for every time you put in that gas nozzle into your car that the price is over $100? That's what it means, no matter what kind of car you drive. Every trip to the pump means $100 out of your pocket. 200, 300. Are you a farmer? You're going to go bankrupt. The fact that the market has been undersupplied for months now is Biden's fault. And Joe Biden has contributed greatly by hamstringing the U.S. oil industry. That is the truth. Federal policies are not limiting the gas and oil supply, Jen Psaki said, in direct conflict with the people who do this on an expert level. On his Tuesday press conference, Biden repeated the lie, saying it's simply not true that my administration and policies is holding back domestic energy production. He cited the fact that 90% of offshore oil production doesn't occur on federal land, as well as the fact that oil and gas have more than 9,000 unused permits. The fact check released on March 7th by the Institute of Energy Research, IER, pointed out that oil exploration on federal lands rapidly declined under the Obama administration. You see that federal lands, obviously, the federal government owns an enormous amount of land. This is wrong. It shouldn't own this enormous amount of land. You should reduce the amount of land the federal government owns. The federal government does nothing with this land. It should be reserved for essentially national parks, and that's about it. Why does the federal government own like 50% of the land west of the Mississippi River? That I do not know. And conservatives and constitutionalists should set about eliminating that. But in order to drill on that energy-rich land, in order to develop that energy-rich resources given to us by God in this country, you have to have a permit from the government. And you can imagine those have been very, very hard to get, actually impossible to get under Joe Biden. The reality is that federal lands vastly underperform on oil and gas production versus state and private lands because the federal government owns the majority of the mineral estate, said the Institute of Energy Research. Tim Stewart, the president of the Oil and Gas Association, had a straightforward response to Biden: cut the crap and approve our permits. I like that. Tim Stewart. We should book him. He sounds like a straightforward individual. Most people who work in the energy industry are. Biden administration officials are making overtures to Venezuela now, Iran and Saudi Arabia, instead of developing energy here at home. Venezuela is the dirtiest oil in the world, said Garg, an oil development expert. Even if they remove the sanctions, the industry is in such a collapsed state, it's going to require billions of dollars in expertise from America. So we're going to build up someone else's oil reserves. We're going to build up oil from another country. You know what? The oil produces carbon and jobs, no matter where it's developed. So it can be American jobs. The oil that is developed in Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or Iran is perhaps dirtier, actually, than the oil developed here. But nonetheless, you burn that oil, it's going to emit carbon. So what is the difference? The difference is that you give Venezuela the job and not an American the job. Again, they hate you and they hate the middle class. They don't want you to have these jobs. Higher oil and gas prices make electric vehicles and renewable energies more competitive. This is illustrated by the fact that officials like Pete Buttigieg continue to double down on that agenda. Yeah, that's right. Just go ahead and buy a $65,000 hybrid vehicle for batteries that you can't get, for batteries that are powered and created directly in China, because China owns the vast majority of the cobalt inside of the batteries, and batteries that are powered by electricity. Where's that electricity come? Coal. The electricity comes from coal. Coal-burning power plants in this country produce the vast majority of electricity. So where's the electricity come from? These people are such imbeciles. They would rather support terrorist states, rogue terrorist states, and failed communist states like Venezuela, where people eat zoo animals because they have no food. Iran, that is a theocracy that is developing nuclear weapons, whether you like it or not, that is aiming those nuclear weapons. If they could fire one at Jerusalem, they would right now. The Biden administration is going to make those people rich instead of developing American energy, instead of making you rich, instead of providing for American jobs. And they're going to rob you in order to do it. It's a scam. Expect to pay $3,000 more this year for gas and food as prices skyrocket. This according to Zero Hedge also. Prices at the pump have now soared to an average of $4 plus per gallon of gasoline, according to the Price Information Service. The firm collects and calculates U.S. pump prices for the American Automobile Association, known as the AAA. On Monday evenings, prices surpassed the previous record high set in 2008. Again, it is amazing. That record high came in the greatest financial collapse this side of the Great Depression and when America was engaged in 2 global wars. As gasoline prices increased and inflation reaches the highest levels in 4 decades, times are becoming much harder for the average consumer. The latest research estimates that a household will spend an additional $2,000 a year in gasoline on top of an extra $1,000 in food expenses, adding up to $3,000 less this year in your bank account. Are you ready for the highest tax increase in your life? This is the highest tax increase you will perhaps ever see in your life. Knock on wood. God help us. They are eliminating your savings account. Most Americans do not have $3,000 in reserve for their families, according to data and statistics. They are going to push people into poverty, and then they are going to want to say, well, this crisis that we created, the answer to it is more of us, more government, universal basic income, and the capacity for us to own more of your lives. They want you in poverty. They want you under their thumb. They want you under their control. This is the European-style socialist model. This is the style that they want to eventually get to. It's the model that they built in China, and they're trying to export it here. The full social credit system, the full dependence on the government, the elimination of the middle class, because the middle class in America is the most powerful political force in human history. And they don't like it because they can't control it. The latest jump in gas prices is 55 cents a gallon and 63 cents since last week. Tom Kaloiza, the global head of energy analysis for OPIS, warned on Monday, we'll hit $4.50 a gallon before this turns around. The risk is how bad it gets. Even $5 a gallon nationwide is possible. I wouldn't have predicted this before the fighting started. Meanwhile, Biden blames Russia. Yeah. There's a tweet going around, viral tweet from Defiant Els, fantastic account on Twitter. Defiant Els has a tweet where Joe Biden said at the start of his administration or during the campaign, as president, I will take the blame. I will be responsible for what happens, and I won't be pushing that blame onto anyone else. Coward, liar. Of course, Biden didn't send that tweet. Joe Biden's never seen that tweet. And they lied. They lied and they made your life more dangerous. They said that this was going to be calming. They said that the noise would stop if you just voted for the man who looks like he should be in a Whispering Angels commercial and not the White House. And they lied. Afghanistan crisis. Crisis in Ukraine. Crisis with inflation. Crisis with gas. Crisis on our southern border. Crisis, 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 crisis. The extension of the COVID crisis in order to hurt you. These are the crises that they are driving, and they are continually pushing. The noise has not stopped. They have ratcheted it up. They view this as the opportunity to finally collapse the American middle class and to finally get what they want. Full control over your life. Social credit and the dependency of you on them. So they can do anything they want to you. They know that you are the most powerful political force in human history, and they want to eliminate you. That's it. They want to eliminate the middle class. And they are going about doing it. They want to insult you, and they want to make you less safe. This is just reality. I'm a pretty optimistic guy. It's a pretty optimistic show. But know thy enemy. Know thy enemy. The Biden administration does not know thy enemy. The Biden administration thought that it could quietly release the 20th hijacker of 9/11 back to Saudi Arabia. In no doubt, a deal cut in order to get Saudi Arabia to try and release more oil. This from the Daily Wire. A Guantanamo Bay detainee dubbed as the 20th hijacker on 9/11 has been repatriated by the Biden administration to Saudi Arabia. He was trained by Al-Qaeda He's going to Saudi Arabia for mental health. Go work on his mental health. That's right. Mohammed Mani Ahmad Al-Qahtani. He's 46. He's been in Guantanamo Bay for better part of a decade, and now he's going back to Saudi Arabia. On June 9, 2021, the Periodic Review Board process determined that the law of war detention of Al-Qahtani was no longer necessary to protect against the continuing and significant threat to the national security of the United States. So they're going to send him back to Saudi Arabia. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin told Congress that he's going to do it. He said this in February. The United States appreciates the willingness of Saudi Arabia and other partners to support ongoing U.S. efforts toward a deliberate and thorough process focused on the responsibility of reducing the detainee population at Guantanamo Bay and closing the facility. Why would you close Guantanamo Bay? This seems like an imbecilic move. Why would you close Guantanamo Bay? Are there not dangerous people in the world? Does the law of nature not apply? Are there not going to be more criminals and more horrible people that we wish to not detain on our soil so that we can process in criminal court terrorists? This seems like abject insanity. These are the same people, of course, who fought to get the Boston bombers' death sentence overturned. The Boston bomber has been living for a decade, and thank God for Donald Trump and his appointees to the Supreme Court, who dismissed the case, and thankfully the Boston bomber will be getting the death sentence. They live in a fantasy land. This is a group of people disconnected from reality. And what do you get? You get LA, San Francisco, Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago. When you are unable to face evil and you are unable to call it by name and you are unable to have the strength, the spine to confront evil, well, it's going to run all over you. The laws of nature say this. It's going to happen. This is natural law. Might does make right. If I have a gun and you don't, guess who makes the rules? Vladimir Lenin famously said that one man with a gun can control 100 men who don't have a gun. You wonder why they want to get rid of the Second Amendment. Al-Qahtani was the would-be 20th hijacker on September 11th, according to Reuters. He was trained by Al-Qaeda and sought to unsuccessfully enter the United States on August 4th, 2001 to take part of the September 11th attacks. You want to understand exactly how dangerous our open southern borders are? I think that almost all 9/11 hijackers who attacked our country and killed 3,000 Americans, and then countless others afterwards, because we never talk about the people who died because of inhalations and cancers that were formed because they breathed in all of these elements. We've done stories on them. We've gone to Manhattan and spoke with these people. Nobody likes to talk about the first responders. Nobody includes them in the numbers. So the numbers should be exponentially higher. So thousands and thousands of Americans died because of a broken immigration system. And we never talk about that. About how every 9/11 hijacker was here on either overstayed visas, illegally in our country. And then we open our borders. They've caught terrorists trying to enter our country. DHS has said straight up, we've caught terrorists from Yemen, I think. People on the terrorist watch list trying to enter our country. If you get on that list, man, you're a bad hombre. They don't care. They want you to be less secure. And the same confluence of factors that led to the first attack, a lax immigration system, open borders, broken laws, the refusal to enforce our immigration rules, it's going to lead to something terrible. God help us, truly. The 46-year-old has been held at Gitmo since 2002. Okay, so 2 decades he spent there. He'll receive psychiatric treatment in Saudi Arabia. I wonder. His lawyers maintain that he's displayed symptoms of schizophrenia since a young age. In 2002, an FBI official saw Al-Qahtani speaking with non-existent people, hearing voices crouching in the corner of a white cell. Well, whatever, dude, you're a terrorist. These people should not be set free. And if you are a terrorist that intended to slaughter thousands of Americans, you should not be able to walk free. But guess what? A no doubt, new member of our Supreme Court thought that they should be set free, thought that they should walk free. That's right. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who has been nominated by Joe Biden to the Supreme Court, advocated for Gitmo terror suspects. Did you know this? This is from the Free Beacon. Supreme Court frontrunner Ketanji Brown Jackson was an active and dedicated advocate. This says frontrunner, so I believe it's an older article. This is now, of course, the nominee to the Supreme Court. Was a dedicated advocate for terror subjects housed in Guantanamo Bay, contrary to press accounts and her own representation. So they've tried to lie about her history defending Gitmo detainees. Let's read the article. Jackson has portrayed her work for the detainees as that of a disinterested professional fulfilling an assignment. But the Washington Free Beacon's review of the court filings dated back to 2005 indicate that Jackson was a deeply committed equal treatment activist on behalf of the terrorists. Oh, good. She's going to be sitting on our Supreme Court. That's going to be awesome. This is going to be great. Her advocacy was zealous and often resembled ideological cause lawyering, even in her capacity as a public defender. At times, she flirted with unsubstantiated left-wing theories that were debunked by government investigators. On other occasions, she accused the Justice Department lawyers of egregious misconduct with little evidence. So she fought on behalf of the terrorists against the U.S. government. What does that sound like? It sounds like the policies of the modern Democratic Party. Were you alive? Are you more than 2 years old? Then you saw the summer of 2020 where people terrorized our streets, burned stores, people died. These people were terrorists, and they were designated a terrorist movement by our own Department of Justice, Antifa. And BLM mobs burned, rioted, and rampaged through our cities, and they were bailed out by none other than our own vice president, to their great shame. They advocate against America and on behalf of terrorism. We've seen it before. And now they'll be sitting on the Supreme Court. Because 81 million people were so broken by the 4-year psyop that was the Trump administration and the noise that they created for an otherwise really nice administration, quite frankly. $2 gasoline, super high employment, record low unemployment, low cost of groceries, no new wars. Sounds good to me. Mean tweets? Fine. I'll take it. You don't like his skin color? It was too orange? Fine. I'll take that. And I'll take my 401k booming. Stock market soaring through the roof. Best American economy. It's certainly in my lifetime, maybe in the last 100 years. Yeah. Yep, they broke these people. And now here's what you get. An activist for terrorists sitting on the Supreme Court. That's what you get with Joe Brandon. As a federal prosecutor, Jackson represented Guantanamo detainees accused of attacking U.S. military bases in Afghanistan. She continued to advocate on behalf of the detainees and attack Bush-era detention policies in the Supreme Court after she left public service for private practice. Jackson's public defender unit was charged with representing Guantanamo inmates who challenged their incarceration in federal court in Washington, D.C. Jackson's client was a detainee named Khalil Gul, who maintained that he was innocent and was wrongfully detained. I had a job in Mr. Karzai's government, and I have done personal favors for the Americans who helped them, Gul said in a 2005 court filing made by Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji Brown Jackson has already been in the Supreme Court. She was there advocating on behalf of terrorists and against the U.S. federal government. If that gives you any indication as to exactly what she'll do when she gets a seat on the bench, because Republicans have no spine. So embarrassing. Well, I mean, if you want to talk about Democrats and their inescapable incompetence as it pertains to terrorists, their release, and their open acceptance into the United States. I mean, they've rolled out the red carpet for the worst people on planet Earth to march right into our country. Lord knows what has happened. All you have to do is look at Joe Biden. If you want to know where this incompetence comes from, all you have to do is look at Joe Biden, who was joking yesterday that a member of Congress looked like a bomber? Is this just classic Biden race? I don't know. What is this? I don't know. We'll take him at face value. From the Daily Caller, Joe Biden said that 3 Texas representatives look like they could play ball and could bomb you. That's what he said yesterday. Biden traveled to Fort Worth, Texas on Tuesday, where he was accompanied by Texas Reps Mark Veazey, Colin Aldred, both Democrats, and Republican Jake Isley, to address the increasing of veteran benefits. The 3 congressmen you have here, 2 of them look like they could really do and did play ball, and the other looks like he'd bomb you. What? Wait, so the guy releasing Guantanamo terrorists from Guantanamo Bay, the guy who nominated Ketanji Brown Jackson, who advocated for terrorists in the Supreme Court, to the Supreme Court, is now saying that a member of Congress looks like he's going to bomb you. I'll let you be the judge. Here's the clip.
3 congressmen you have here, 2 of them look like they really could and did play ball, and the other one looks like he could bomb you.
Okay, well, the guys, did he look like he's going to bomb you? This is the same Joe Biden that said if you ain't black, you shouldn't be voting for him. If you vote for Trump, rather, you're not black. Also, Joe Biden famously saying that you can't go to a Dunkin' Donuts or a gas station in his home state of Delaware without an Indian accent. I'm just quoting Joe Biden. The president received a wave of backlash on social media for the description of the 3 congressmen. Okay, well, he called a congressman a bomber while releasing terrorists from Guantanamo Bay. Maybe that's why less than 25% believe in recent polling that Joe Biden is mentally fit, healthy, and stable. This according to Breitbart.com. Less than 25% of voters strongly believe that President Joe Biden is mentally fit, healthy, or stable, according to Politico Morning Consult poll revealed. Yikes, this was published today. Okay, well, great. We are quickly spiraling towards war with a nuclear power, $10 gasoline, terrorists being released back to their home countries, and the vast majority of Americans, 24%, say that Joe Biden, correction here, the vast majority of Americans say that Joe Biden is not mentally fit to serve. Only 24% say that they strongly agreed that Joe Biden is mentally fit. 18% that they agree that Joe Biden has good health. Whew. Have you ever seen Joe Biden walk? Why does he walk like a robot? We're going to investigate. My wife is a medical professional. She has some thoughts on that, actually. Joe Biden walks like a robot. Very strange. 31% strongly disagreed with the statement that Biden is in good health. Moreover, 23% of voters strongly believe that President of the United States is stable. 34% strongly do not believe that Biden is stable, an 11-point difference. Yikes. If you watched Joe Biden's most recent famous speech, few did. It was actually a record low in State of the Unions. But if you watched his most recent speech, you would see why most people don't believe that there's really a dim, flickering check engine light going on inside of Joe Biden brainstem. Watch these clips.
Time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their... Preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble. And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud people, pound for pound, there's simply nothing beyond our capacity. Increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America. We won't stop. Because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases. As one people, one America, the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
Go get who? Go get him? Go get the guy that Joe Biden just released from Guantanamo Bay, the terrorist? Maybe that's who he's talking about. Joe Biden is so fake. There's nothing real about Joe Biden. His teeth are fake. His hair is fake. Joe Biden, bald as a bat in the 1970s. You can find the photos. Everything is fake about Joe Biden. I think these polls are also fake. I think that more people disagree with Joe Biden than they even poll. These Politico Morning Consult polls, these things skew so left-wing. And they do so by process, because they call and they say, I'm with Politico, or I'm with NBC News, or I'm with CNN. And no Republican's going to give them a straight answer, because these people are broken. The polling comes as Donald Trump's 2020 prediction that gas prices would reach $7 a gallon if Joe Biden was elected president came true. Ching-a-ling-a-ling, one more quarter inside of the Trump was right jar. The national gas price average on Tuesday was above $4 a gallon. Monday, a poll revealed that 56% of Americans blame Biden's deadly Afghanistan evacuation for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Yikes. Yeah. I think Biden's losing the narrative here, and I think it's pretty safe to say now that Biden has utterly lost the plot. In fact, when you get culture to turn against you, when you get the press to turn against you, when you get the polling to turn against you, and you get the American people to turn against you, you're really in a bad place as a Democrat, because all the Democrats can count on is certainly not the support of the American people. They do not have a populist party. They have a manufactured majority of disassociated groups that actually hate each other. They don't have any unifying messages. They don't have any unifying values. They have no unifying worldview. It's a broken party. And when you lose the media and when you lose culture, which are dominated by the left, but small minorities of the left, well, then you really start to see a major problem. And you saw that this weekend with the UFC fight. UFC, not really political, but UFC, which is incredibly popular. I mean, you could, is it the most popular sport in America? Arguable. Maybe it's football, UFC. But when UFC fighters say that evil has taken over America and we ain't afraid of it, calling out Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and Nancy Pelosi for their corruption, you got a problem, baby. UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell said he was ready to fight evil that has taken over the United States on Tuesday on Tucker Carlson tonight. We're tired of this politics crap that's going on, he told Tucker Carlson. It's evil what's going on. Evil has taken over the nation and we ain't afraid to fight it. It was an amazing clip. It was an amazing hit. You got to watch it. Check out champ Bryce Mitchell, who's 15-0, undefeated, on Tucker Carlson last night.
Why do you think almost everyone in the media, and I mean almost everybody, in both political parties, and of course the White House, are all on the same page that you need to get behind this war with Russia? Why is that so important to them? Do you have any sense?
Well, I don't exactly know what their agenda is with the whole war on Russia, but I do know that all that money that's going to the Biden family through Hunter Biden, he doesn't have the merit for that position he's got over there. They've used our tax dollars to bribe him a job. You know, if me or you did what Nancy Pelosi did and got millions in stocks, we'd go to prison for insider trading, but she does it, and she's filthy rich. So their families are getting very greatly compensated while they're taxing us to death. Inflation's higher than ever. They closed down all of our pipelines and wonder why the price of oil has gone through the roof. These people are trying to destroy our country because they are profiting off the downfall of our country. And if y'all don't see what's going on, you are blinded every day. You know, our inflation gets worse, our debt gets worse. Our actual currency is controlled by a small group called the Federal Reserve that ain't federal and ain't a reserve. So it's It's insidious in nature. It's made to control. We have a lot of problems, and it's going to take a lot of things to fix it.
What a champion. Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell. More intelligence in that cattle farmer's skull than in the entire swamp combined. And his skull gets punched day in and day out. Probably had a couple concussions. And he's still better than the lot of them. The lot of them who can't even pump their own gas. What did he say? Biden and Pelosi are profiting greatly by taxing Americans to death. These people are trying to destroy our country because they're profiting off the downfall of our country. He's exactly right. We say that on the show every single day. And if y'all don't see what's going on here, you're blinded. More specifically, Americans and small businesses are paying the consequences. Mitchell said that he is refusing to go and fight to Ukraine, but he'll fight for Arkansas, and I think all Americans agree with that. That's how worried people are about the state of this country. They're worried about my health because I'm coming out and speaking the truth. That's the type of suppression and oppression we're living with, brother, he said there at the end of the Tucker Carlson interview. This is the greater point. I went to St. Pete's yesterday, very liberal place, one of the most liberal places in Florida, maybe the most liberal city in Florida. Who knows? Arguable. It's across the bay here from Tampa where I live, and I asked people, do you want to go to war? I said, did you vote for Joe Biden? Most people did. Do you want to go to war? The war that Joe Biden is fomenting. And of course they said no. Do you want to go to war with Russia? You want nuclear war with Russia? People are like, no. My life's great. We live good here. I don't want war. Even the libs, the Joe Biden supporters, they couldn't find Ukraine on a map. They don't want to die for an impoverished nation 5,000 miles away that has absolutely no value to America, that doesn't speak our language, doesn't share our heritage. We have nothing to do with. It doesn't mean you don't feel bad for those people. You don't pray for them. But damn it, don't we have a country here that's suffering? Don't we have a border here that needs protection? Do we not have cities here that look like war zones? Have you ever been to St. Louis? Have you been to Detroit? Have you been to Flint? Have you been to Baltimore? Have you been to San Francisco, downtown, Tenderloin District? How about LA? Have you seen the cities in America that look like they're war zones? I want people to be safe on Kyiv. The streets of Kyiv, I want them to be safe. Walking down the streets of Kyiv, the mother and the child, I do not want them to be hurt. But I also don't want mothers and children in my country to be hurt because I have a family here. I have a child here. The mother of my child lives here, and she could be hurt in this country. And so, yes, I actually wish to protect my country first. Most Americans believe Bryce Mitchell. Most Americans think like Bryce Mitchell. The vast majority of them. Even the liberals that I spoke with yesterday for our Man on the Street show. It is the politicians and the political class that do not pump their own gas, that live inside of a bubble. Trust me, I lived there for a decade. That do not have any connection with the real world, that is destroying all of this beautiful country that we have been handed, our inheritance, our birthright. It is them who do not understand, not us. And it's time for the people to be awakened. That's why we do this show. We do this show because we do not want the Great Reset. We want the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening says we structure our lives like this: God, family, country. And we're going to protect all of those things because we were born free men and women, and we intend to stay that way. But we must fight. Bryce Mitchell's a fighter. He's 15-0. Follow the champ, ladies and gentlemen. We are the majority. We can change a country if we want to. We can make this country anything we want it to be. Stand up. Let's go. My name is Benny Johnson, and this has been The Benny Show. God bless you.